Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex P. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Friday, October 20th. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, ready to break it down for a Friday. 2 games on the NHL slate tonight. We'll get to those in just a moment. First, we got some programming updates to give you here. Obviously, tomorrow, huge show on Saturday, noon Eastern. That'll be going probably close to 2 hours, considering we have 15 games on the slate tomorrow. So it'll be a long show. It'll be a marathon, tons of picks, tons of props. You name it. Lots of opportunities for the bargain bin, obviously, for tomorrow. So looking forward to that big Saturday show. Sunday will be on at noon Eastern as well. Monday, there is only one game on the slate, Montreal and Buffalo. So what we are going to do on our Monday show at 2 p.m. Eastern is we're going to talk Montreal-Buffalo, but we're also going to open it up to a Q&A session and field questions from those of you that are currently Ice Guys Family Plan members. And subscribers. So if you have a question you wish to ask me or Alex or both of us, we will answer them on Monday's show after we talk Montreal-Buffalo, which is the only game on Monday. Anything hockey related, betting related, it can even just be general hockey questions.
Yeah.
You know, what was your favorite team growing up, or your favorite, player growing up, that kind of thing. Any question goes as long as it's hockey related. So make sure if you're a family plan member, you must be one in order to ask a question for the Q&A for Monday's show. So there you go. That is what we'll do on the Monday show after we talk Montreal-Buffalo. We preview that game like we do every other game on this show. We will open it up to Q&A, and looking forward to that on Monday.
And yeah, like I said, with it being we're doing a later start, of course, as well, 3 Eastern, and with the one game. So we will take, as many questions as we can. We'll try to keep it within about 45 minutes for that episode. Any other questions that spill over, don't worry. If we don't get to them there, we might be doing that as part of some of the bonus content for the family plan as well. So this is something we're kind of doing a test run, and we want to just kind of show it to everybody, free to the public on Monday, since it's, I got to kill some time with only one game on the board before we get to the marathon on Tuesday.
Yeah, there we go. Exactly. And so Monday's going to be a nice, quick show, which is nice because Tuesday is going to be a very long day. But it'll be a fun day, but it'll be a very long day. I'll be feeling it after Tuesday. When we do the noon show Eastern time on Tuesday and talk all 16 games and all 32 teams in action on Tuesday, and then we have our live betcast, our first Ice Guys live betcast of the season for the special Tuesday night slate starting at 6 p.m. Eastern time. Like I say, there are going to be staggered start times, 15, 30 minutes apart throughout the night. It's going to be fun. This is a great, at least, experiment the NHL is doing. I wish they would do it more than just the one time this year, but apparently this is just a trial run, and they want to see if this is something that they will be looking to do more often next year. But at least they're doing it once. And that much I'm happy about. So I'm looking forward. We're all looking forward to that. And not just the fact that it's a huge slate, all 32 teams playing, 16 games, and a great opportunity for a ton of live bets and opportunities with that. But we're looking forward to it as well because it's our first live betcast of the season. We get to familiarize ourselves with all of our viewers and listeners. And I'm sure we'll see a lot of our familiar voices and faces appearing with us on the betcast on Tuesday. And a thing to point out as well, it's a perk for being a Ice Guys Family Plan YouTube channel subscriber and member for just $9.99 US per month, is you guys that are Family Plan members, you're going to get dibs to being on the betcast first in line, if you will. You're going to get that first opportunity. So let's say you're not a Family Plan member, but you asked to be on the betcast, and I want to join you, send the link. But then there's about 8 or 9 people on the family plan, that ask, for the link for the betcast because they want to join the betcast at some point. Well, they'll get the preferential treatment, the family plan members. So make sure you join us on the betcast Tuesday night, 6 p.m. Eastern. I don't know how long it's going to go, but we're going to go for most of the night at the very least, at least through all the early games. And as long as the late games are appealing and entertaining and engaging, we might do the whole shebang, if you will, on Tuesday night, 6 p.m. Eastern, all the way to 1 a.m. Eastern when that last game with Philly and Vegas wraps up. So stay tuned for that, but it's going to be fun Tuesday night. Looking forward to it, Alex.
Yeah, that's gonna be a blast. And like you said, it's a long day. I was joking in the chat, but honestly, yeah, if you got some PTO left or a sick day around, Tuesday may be the day to take it because I know we're gonna just be packed with wall to wall coverage. Like I said, keep us on the laptop all day and put the Frozen Frenzy on the television, and it'll be a fun, festive night of hockey for sure.
Be absolutely a fun night of hockey, just like it was last night, which is where we'll begin the show with the recap of a busy Thursday night in the NHL. Of course, we start with the Vancouver Canucks, Tampa Bay Lightning. It actually ended up being a small profit for me on the night, but there were a couple of games. Two Canadian teams really kept it from being a phenomenal night for me, and one of them was Vancouver. 4-3 loss to Tampa Bay. Their effort was certainly a lot better than it was against Philadelphia, but you can't take penalties against Tampa Bay, especially the ones they took, and you cannot make the mistakes with the puck and the turnovers and the gaps and the breakdowns in coverage that Vancouver had. And it's still a Tampa Bay team that can make you pay when you do that. And that's exactly what we saw. I thought Demko was very good again. He made a couple of great saves on the first, right before Tampa scored on the power play, their first goal. He was phenomenal, made a couple of great saves, but wasn't able to hold the fort completely. Tampa Bay with a 4-3 win there against Vancouver. A wild one with Calgary and Buffalo, 4-3. I'm glad I at least bet the over. I didn't love it, but I ended up betting it. As I said, I probably would. I kept it small because I had been worrying about Buffalo kind of not getting their offense going and trending to the under early in the season. But I said, sure enough, they're going to find a way. One of these games are going to go over the total. It happened last night. 4-3 Calgary getting the victory. Again, and there's question marks, and there's already some doubting going on regarding Devin Levi. And look, has it been the start he wanted? Has it been the start the Buffalo Sabres wanted for him? No. But it's just too soon to push the panic button and say, send the kid down. And besides, if you send him down, who the hell are you going to put in? UPL and Eric Comrie. And, you got to at least give him an opportunity. You got to give him a large amount of runway. At this point, it'd be different if you had Connor Hellebuck or if you made a trade for a veteran goalie or a Gibson or somebody, as was rumored in the offseason, but you just cannot completely just, give up on this Devin Levi. We're giving him the number one job thing just yet. Give it time. And look, he's still very young. The guy's played a handful of games, started a handful of games in the NHL as well. So, again, we got to just temper our enthusiasm a little bit. What was good for Buffalo is Tage Thompson finally got on the scoreboard, and that's good news moving forward. Obviously, a big monkey off the back for him, considering the slow start. Unfortunately, Flames get the victory for Buffalo 4-3. There were still some positives. Buffalo played a solid game. It's just unfortunate they ended up on the losing side of it, 4-3 against Calgary. Florida, 3-1 win against Toronto. That was disappointing for the Leafs. No finish with their offense. Bobrovsky had a really good game, but at the end of the day, the little puck battles, the Florida Panthers were just absolutely outstanding. Paul Maurice, he is a very good head coach, Joe. There's no doubt about that. He's certainly one of the coaches, I've said this for years, that I enjoy listening to the most. He's such an engaging speaker. You get such great, insight from him, and he's a storyteller too. Like, he'll just go on and talk about a player or a situation in like a storyteller type of form, for a few minutes. And you don't get that with many of the coaches in the NHL. But no, it was a solid win for Florida. I got to say this, that was the best their blue line has looked without Montour and Ekblad this season. I thought Mahura had a great game. I thought even Oliver Lawson-Tossum had a great game. That's as good a game as I've seen Ekman Larson play in a long time. I saw this Latvian kid has looked really solid on the back end for Florida as well, and played a good game last night. So there's a lot to like, with that Panthers effort last night on defense. The question is going to be, can they keep it going? This is still, a blue line that we question their depth a little bit. But it was a nice win for them last night, shutting down that Leaf team and getting the 3-1 win. How about those New York Rangers losing 4-1 at home to Nashville? I said I was worried about this spot. This is kind of one of these situations where sometimes the Rangers don't play well in these kind of spots. And Nashville has been, outside of the Edmonton game where they got thumped the other night, they've been in every game. The work ethic's been there. Absolutely outstanding. Nashville last night. All areas of the ice. Big bounce back start from Saros in net, and they get the 4-1 win against the Rangers. And then the team that thumped Nashville the other night to begin their road trip, and you thought, hey, now they're going to end up getting going a little bit here for Edmonton after that win against Nashville, and it couldn't have been further from the truth. Dismal effort. 4-1 Philadelphia against Edmonton. This is a head scratcher, Alex. This Edmonton performance. I mean, do you need to get on a roll? You finally got to win some confidence, and that was ugly. That was awful. That was a no-show. I'm going to use that phrase, a no-show from Edmonton. Nobody showed up. I know Hyman got their one goal. He was okay. No one else did. Connor McDavid had no shots on goal, if you could believe it, last night. That's almost unheard of. That's when you know it's a fucking horrendous night for the Edmonton Oilers. Connor McDavid, 0 shots on goal. Goose egg for the Oilers in that game as far as shots on goal. Draisaitl had a quiet game. I mean, there's nobody up front that played well. Jack Campbell, gave up 4 goals, but he didn't have a lot of help. I don't think it's fair to put the blame on him. So ugly performance there from Edmonton in that game. So actually, you know what? We talked about those 5 games: Vancouver, Buffalo, Toronto, Rangers, Edmonton. Well, Alex, what do you think? Anything from those games you want to talk about?
Yeah, the Buffalo situation, and it's funny. I got to vent a little bit on Edgework, the podcast earlier, and they're talking about GMs who may have shit themselves. And I said Kevin Adams is shitty as a goat, and it's because what did we say from February of last year? We said, well, this Buffalo team's going to be pretty good if they just get some upgraded goaltending. And then now Craig Anderson sitting in a rocking chair, Malcolm Subban's in somewhere in the St. Louis organization. You re-signed Eric Comrie, and for some reason you're carrying 3 goalies, but you're riding your youngest goalie, who, keep in mind, only made 7 starts out of playing college hockey at Northeastern. Excuse me, college hockey at Northeastern. Northeastern's not necessarily one of these world beater programs. And a lot of college goalies, we've seen them struggle coming right out of college going into the pros. I get it, last year you want to give him the time and let him be acclimated. Let him get that big light kind of phase out of his system. Well, that doesn't really quite seem to be the case, because now you put him in this pressure spot of he's not even a 1A, 1B situation. Right now on that depth chart, there's just a 1 next to his name. No A, no B, no split, no time shift, none of that. And that's way too much pressure to put on this kid. You could have gone out and got Connor Hellebuck, but you didn't want to make a big deal. I get that, because he wanted long term and you believe in Levi. You didn't go out and get John Gibson, which you probably could have easily finagled and got a small 2-year deal going, and then he bridges and uses that to go elsewhere and get a huge payday, or you resign him if he plays well. You also give him some rest. We've talked about that for a while, about how he's logged so many minutes. Goodness, to be a 1B for John Gibson might bring him a new lease on life. Not to mention, he's a great, formidable goalie. Also, a Team of the USA guy. All the different, kind of things that you'd want to have to show for a young goaltender who's going to be, a Team Canada hopeful, a number 1 guy, a Vezina Trophy caliber goaltender in due time. Why not bring in that mentorship? What is he going to learn from Eric Comrie? Ian, what is he going to learn from Eric Comrie as a goaltender? Probably not too much, right? He'll learn how to be an NHLer. Okay, I'm sure, like I said, I'm not slamming the guy as a person. I'm sure he's probably a really nice guy. But as far as watching him play every night, not much. UPL, he's already better than UPL. So what's he going to learn from him? Probably not too much either. You should have brought in somebody to develop with this kid and give him some rest. He needs rest right now. You don't need to be throwing him out 3-4 games in a row. That's something you should be doing in the second half of the season when he's gotten his confidence there. Now you're breaking his confidence down, and now you got to rely on your saving grace being either a young goalie who's still somewhat unproven, or a veteran who's just been kind of just sitting on the bench for most of his career. Yeah, Buffalo's put themselves in a terrible spot right now, and the only way they can get out of it is probably to send Levi down, let him regain his confidence in Rochester, where the wins and losses don't mean as much, and then try to, make the best of what you got. They're pretty much going to be like a Tampa Bay with, without the winning, essentially.
Yeah, no doubt. And it's funny because I know the local people in Buffalo, some of them are on our side saying they should have gotten another veteran goalie, and maybe they should have been more aggressive for Hellebuck. Hellebuck was being talked about, like Cheveldayoff was listening in Winnipeg on Connor Hellebuck, and apparently Buffalo was not willing to give up. Now, I don't know what it was that Winnipeg was asking for, but Buffalo was not willing to give up what Winnipeg was requesting in a potential trade with Connor Hellebuck. But then there's people that are on the other side of the fence and say, no, Levi's ready for this. He was a great goalie down there. He'll be fine. He can go forward with the young goalie next to him and saying, but he's got the retired Craig Anderson now as a liaison to help him out. Get out of here with that. I'm not talking about someone to whisper sweet nothings in his ear, from the dressing room. I'm talking about a veteran goalie that's out there in practice, that's starting 40 or 50 games for the Buffalo Sabres this year. I'm talking about that kind of learning experience for Devin Levi. So this nonsense has to stop that, he's got Craig Anderson in his ear there in Buffalo. I'm talking about someone on the ice. I'm talking about a veteran NHL goalie playing in the league right now to help him out, to not put all of the burden on his shoulders at this stage of his career. That's what I'm talking about, and Buffalo didn't make that happen in the offseason.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. When you're looking at, like I said, the difference between college goalies and junior goalies, and with a lot of the great college goalies, think back to yesteryear, the Ed Belfords, the Curtis Josephs, the Mike Richters. What's something that those guys had in common? They had one full season at least in the minor leagues. And I think we've gotten so out of hand now, especially with our forwards, right? Like, I mean, if you're a top 10, top 15 guy, like, you're never seen the AHL unless you get hurt and it's a rehab assignment. For the most part, there's exceptions like Shane Wright last year, but with goaltenders, I feel like we need to stop rushing goaltenders. And I love, and it's so odd because that's what Buffalo did with Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, right? They took their time with him, and he's not really proven to pan out like they thought. So why? I get you saying, okay, well, this didn't work out with UPL, but don't rush with Levi. That's not going to make anything better. I know he's a better goaltender, but don't press it. Give him time to let him develop. Playing professional hockey is different than college hockey. You need that minor pro development, I think, if you're going to be a upper echelon goalie. Now, if he's just going to be some, backup that bounces around, plays with 8 teams in the next decade, then yeah, okay, fine. Then, trial by fire now and forever. But if you really think he's going to be worth what we've all been talking about, what we've seen, you got to treat him delicately, and that's not what Buffalo is doing right now.
No, they're not. They are not. And even Philly did this with Hart for a little bit, and Hart hasn't been, necessarily not as bad, not as extreme, but it's not like they took their time with Carter Hart either.
Right.
They threw him in there, and he was good initially. And the difference is, though, he was pretty good initially, and then he kind of had a little bit of a falling off. Although this year, I think he's looked really good. It's worth noting. And getting back to that Edmonton Philly game, I mean, Carter Hart now, that's 2 games in a row. He's played really well. He's had a nice season so far for the Flyers. The rest of the games, how about LA? 7-3 against Minnesota. Didn't we say something about we were concerned about Fleury's start? What's Dean Evison thinking here? Like, he's got Marc-Andre Fleury in Montreal playing that game, emotional environment. Might be the last time he plays there in front of his home with all kinds of family and friends there. Apparently, they went out partying after the game. And of course, it was a big Minnesota win. Nice performance from Fleury. And then you start him the very next game against LA back home. It's a tough spot after that kind of exhilaration. And sure enough, no, it's not all on Fleury. They didn't play great defense either, but it was not the spot where I was expecting Fleury's A game. Like, let's be real. And that's on Dean Evison. People are throwing Fleury under the bus. What a horrible night for him. No, that's on Evison.
He wants to play. So
yeah. Yeah, that's on Evison. He should have had the wherewithal to say, you know what, situationally, he doesn't think like a handicapper. That's the problem. Situationally, that's a tough spot for Fleury last night, coming off the Montreal game, and give Gustafsson the net last night. He didn't do it, though, ended up paying the price. LA with the big victory, 7-3, which was good. I like the Kings. I thought it was a cheap price on LA, and they ended up getting the job done in that one. 6-2 Arizona. The Coyotes and the over both cashing for me in that game. So that was another good result. A very good win for Arizona. Nice to get back home off a win now to end this road trip. Pretty tough way to start the year. New Jersey, Rangers, Islanders, St. Louis, this little road trip of theirs for Arizona. But now they're going to finally be able to get back home and open up the Mullet Arena portion of their season Saturday against Anaheim. But definitely a nice win for Arizona, 6-2 victory for the Coyotes. Clayton Keller continues to play extremely well. Seems like every game, Logan Cooley's getting on the score sheet with at least a point. He did it again last night. And how about Sean Durzi? I started to look at some things with his props last night before all the action started, and noticing that he's going up the defensive depth chart. He's playing way more on the power play. He's shooting the puck a lot more. And I ended up pulling the trigger on him 700 to score a goal last night, plus 700. And sure enough, he did. That's 2 nights in a row, plus 700 goal prop for me. Jake Sanderson for Ottawa a couple nights ago and both of them defensemen as well. Sanderson a couple nights ago and Sean Dursey last night for the Arizona Coyotes. So good results there with some of these big shots here as far as plus money and player props go. 5-3 Vegas against Winnipeg. This team's like a machine right now. Just absolutely outstanding. Winnipeg, obviously, playoff revenge did not go very well for the most part last night. Toronto didn't beat Florida. Winnipeg didn't beat Vegas. Dallas didn't beat Vegas the other night. So that's not always going to guarantee victory when you have those situations. But Vegas with a 5-3 win last night, they just keep on trucking along, man. They actually did get Martinez back, but still without a couple defensemen, no problem. 4 lines are still as good as any in the NHL. And how about Logan Thompson, man? Terrific game, because actually Winnipeg had a lot of rubber fired at the net. I don't think it was as great a defensive game as we've seen from Vegas this year, but Logan Thompson made sure that didn't matter. He was absolutely terrific, and he wants to play more. And that's why, you've got him motivated. So this idea that with Aiden Hill out, makes Vegas a little more vulnerable to getting beaten, I'm not so sure about that. Not when you have the structure. They could put friggin' Darren Pang at his age right now in the net, and Vegas would probably still be able to get some victories out of it at this point in time. So there is no issues right now with whoever's in net. It's just the structure, the system, the personnel is there, and they can win regardless of who's in net. And Thompson actually had a very good game last night for Vegas. So what a start to the season for them as they keep on keeping on last night with that 5-3 win against the Jets. Dallas with the 3-2 win against the Anaheim Ducks last night. Not an easy victory for Dallas. Anaheim working hard to begin the year. Very impressed with the work ethic of the Ducks under Greg Cronin. They actually outplayed Dallas, outshot Dallas last night. And if not for you-know-who, a guy that's looking like one of the best goalies in the NHL early in the first few games, Jake Ottinger, it could have been a different result maybe. Anaheim's impressed me. Anaheim now, that's 2 games where I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to be taking some shots with Anaheim as dogs this year, especially at home. I didn't last night because I knew it was Dallas off a loss, but no question about it. Anaheim has been a very, very feisty team, and I think their work ethic and their attention to detail has gone up already under Cronin than anything we saw under Dallas Eakins as well. And a special congratulations and shout out to Leo Carlsson, the 2nd overall pick, getting his first NHL goal last night. And it wasn't a fluky goal either. It was a thing of beauty. Finished off a 2-on-1 rush, a roof shot right over Ottinger. No chance for the goalie. A great first NHL goal for Leo Carlsson, who didn't look out of place in his first NHL game last night with the Anaheim Ducks. Very start of what should be a very good career. Sometimes that 6th sense pays off, and it did last night. I said Seattle's going to break out at some point, and they did last night. 7-4 win against the Carolina Hurricanes last night. Yeah, I call it the John Forsland Bowl. His former TV play-by-play home versus his current TV play-by-play home. And it was a great win for the Seattle Kraken last night, 7-4. And I think Cheshire Cat said it in the chat. 7 different goal scores. This is the Seattle team I was expecting to start the year. The offense, the depth, different guys can beat you any given night. Yanni Gourde, Jaden Schwartz, Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, Vince Dunn, Jared McCann, Ty Cartier, and Oliver Bjorkstrand, all scoring for Seattle last night. So this is the Seattle team I was expecting. I don't know what that was during that road trip. Which was really bad for them, losing to the likes of St. Louis and teams like that. But they get back home, and I know they lost to Colorado the other night, but that's why I had faith to take their team total last night, Alex. I saw that Colorado game where they had a bunch of chances, great looks. Georgiev was outstanding in net, and Georgiev's been the real deal. We'll get to Chicago, Colorado shortly, but that's a big reason why Seattle didn't score the other night. And I said sooner or later, puck's going to go in for them. And it did last night with the 7. Chicago, Colorado, 4-0 shutout for Colorado. That looked like a tired Chicago team, looked like a team ready to go home for their home opener. That was probably the worst game that the top lines had. Bedard and company were very, very unnoticeable last night. I think they were running on fumes a bit, and it was just a great effort by Colorado. They capitalized on their chance. I still don't think Mrazek played that bad. Unfortunately, it was one of those situations where just too many quality looks given up and too much rubber given up by Chicago. And then Boston 3-1 over San Jose. Very frustrated we couldn't get that 4th goal for the Boston team total over 3.5. I did have the first period puck line, which cashed, but I was thinking 2-0 after the way that game started. And for the team total to fall short was frustrating. Million chances to score an empty net goal, Boston. They couldn't hit any of them. But I didn't love they didn't really put the stake in the heart of San Jose. They kind of let them hang around. Boston's a little disjointed right now. Even in their wins, they have not looked dominant. They have not looked impressive. They're still trying to figure things out at the center ice position after the retirement of both Bergeron and Krejci. That Boston team, reasons for, mild concern. I'm not saying panic, mild concern, even though they're actually, I think, undefeated. They haven't lost yet this year, Boston, but the fashion in which they're winning the Boston Bruins so far this season, it hasn't been overly impressive. And let's be real, they face Chicago, Nashville, and San Jose, kind of like the sisters of the poor a little bit there. They haven't even played a really, really great hockey team yet, Boston. So there are some concerns there. Alex, the later shift of games last night, thoughts?
Yeah, a lot to unpack in the late slate. Let's start with that LA and Minnesota game, right? And it's funny, I didn't give it out as a play. I may have mentioned it on the betting preview and opening night, but I have 28-1 on Dean Evason as first coach fired. And I think goofy moves like this could easily be the case of where he might get the door. That seat gets hotter and hotter with every, not just loss, but loss where it's something that just is openly glaring. Like, why would you play Marc-Andre Fleury in that spot after what was a really big emotional night that meant a lot to him in Montreal? You should have went back to Gustafsson anyway because he's your number one goaltender, first off. And then secondly, because you give Fleury that break, okay? And he's 38 years old. Yes, he wants to still play 70 games. In his mind, he thinks he can play 70 games just like he did 20 years ago, but he can't. Okay? And it's your job as coach to let him know that, hey, you got to get back in check. Great game. Sit back on the bench. Let Philip take care of what needs to be done so we can keep on winning. Instead, you chose not to. He got tired. LA ran you out of the building. And now you got to try and rebound against a Columbus team that's going to be coming in on the second of back-to-backs. We'll talk about them a little bit later. Could be a little bit fresh. This could, mount and turn into something really bad, just like we saw a year ago at this time. Those losses at home mounting up, and all of a sudden would seem like, oh, maybe it's a team that can win the division, until, oh, shit, now they got to really kind of pull things together to even grab a wild card spot or that third spot in the Central. And with Winnipeg looking a lot better, with Arizona being a little dangerous, like I said, Chicago, once they can play actual balance of home and road games, could just be dangerous every now and then. You can't screw around in the Central Division right now, and you're blowing chances and opportunities against quality teams. They keep on losing, and all of a sudden we find a 4-game, 5-game losing streak. Bill Guerin might have to make a tough decision. So now we got that, and then we're going to Chicago and Colorado, two teams in the Central Division. We should have known that Chicago was possibly going to lay an egg here based off of the end of a road trip on top of playing in Colorado, in altitude. Also their, third or fourth home opening event. I think they're going to have, and then they have their own on Saturday. So that takes a lot out of you. We talk about that situation a lot. I like to look at that in schedules and sometimes find that as a spot, but I didn't think that was really going to bother them too much because they played well against better teams. And Colorado, as good of a team as they are, we figure, well, okay, at home and their opener, they could lay an egg here. Laying 350, that's usually a spot where they tend to lose outright to some of the weaker teams, and certainly in the Western Conference. But Alexander Georgiev said, no, there will be none of that. He's playing his ass off right now. Incredible shutout, made some big saves, 10 bell saves throughout the game. And even if the Hawks had all the energy in the world, they probably weren't going to win that contest the way that he played. And that's why I said it. Most of those plays, but certainly that money line, I was way off of that once I heard Georgiev confirmed. That's why we're looking for Prosvetov. And that's the thing to circle now with Colorado. When Georgiev gets the rest, which he will need in due time if he keeps playing, especially big games like that, that's the time to fade Colorado. I'm not saying it's going to be a blind fade just because he's the goaltender in that Prosvetov, but that's definitely going to be the spots. Right now, I want nothing to do with fading Colorado with Georgiev, and especially at home. Even with those big numbers, that's a spot where you just look at a total, more than likely probably going under with the way that he's playing in net, or you just stay away from it. Lastly, Boston and San Jose. That game just really annoyed me. I got the win on the first period over, but that should have cashed in 10 minutes into the contest, not 2 goals late, 15 seconds apart at the end of the period. They just sleptwalked through 40 minutes, really 55 minutes of that contest. There was some spurt of energy, but 55 minutes they were sleepwalking against San Jose. Okay. And yes, I get it. You can sleepwalk and beat San Jose. We know that. We talked about this. There's AHL teams that can beat San Jose right now. But the fact is, the way that Boston season ended, you aren't Pittsburgh. You can't do the Penguins. We'll just float through October, November, probably be at 500, maybe even below 500, and then all of a sudden, new calendar, new year turns around, new me, and all of a sudden we get back in the playoffs. You can't do that if you're Boston. You play in the Atlantic. You got Toronto. You got Tampa Bay, who, they're underwater, but once Vasilevsky gets back, who knows? Florida's still hanging around. We're talking about the emergence of Buffalo potentially, Ottawa, Detroit. Where do you get off thinking you can sleepwalking in the fourth game of the season when you look at how things ended last year? Like, I just don't understand it. Like, it's not conserving of energy. No, you guys just play like shit. They need to do better. They won the game, but that was not a 3-1 game. And if San Jose had just a little bit more talent, they probably win that game in an upset. So those are my takes on late games.
Yeah, that was a very frustrating game. It's frustrating to hear Jack Edwards calling Kokkonen Kukkonen the whole night too, or Kokkonen. That's what he called him.
That's why I had radio on. I had radio on.
Someone's got to get in his ear and say, "Hey, Jack, is he Kakkonen? That's how you say it. It's not Kokkonen." And he was even calling him Kukkonen at some times, which is appropriate because you could say "coo" about the guy saying it. So
Yeah, that was definitely a game to sync your television up with the radio broadcast for with Judd Surratt for Boston, because between Jack Edwards stammering and Randy Hahn's fucking game show voice, that was a brutal TV game for sure.
Yeah, no really good option there as far as that goes, no doubt about that. Jimmy Murphy usually joins us on Fridays. He's going to try to join us for a bit. He's got Maddie, his wonderful little girl, with him today. So we'll see if he's able to join us. If he will, he'll join us in just a bit. But we'll get into the Friday games now. We've got two of them on this slate. We'll begin in Columbus, where we've got the Calgary Flames and the Columbus Blue Jackets. Calgary minus 145, road favorites, 6.5 being the total here in this game. Back-to-back situation for Calgary in Buffalo last night, getting that 4-3 win. And now here they are in Columbus tonight for this second of back-to-back games. First back-to-back this year for the Calgary Flames. Pretty impressive, solid win, 36-27. Look, the Calgary Flames have picked up right where they left off last year as far as high volume shooting, high volume shots on goal, 36, 40, and 36 as far as shots on goal are concerned for the Calgary Flames right now. And I ended up on Devin Levi over saves, as a result of that last night. And I think probably get back to the well now with the saves prop over involving the Columbus netminder for this game tonight, because that's the one thing we're seeing from this Flames team is them shooting the puck quite a bit again. Of course, this year they're hoping for a little bit more finish and a little bit more results with those shots on goal compared to last year. They got the 4 goals last night. We'll see how they fare here in Columbus. It is worth noting last year these two teams played twice. The home team won each game. Columbus won 3-1 at home. Calgary won 4-3 in Calgary last year between these two teams. The Blue Jackets coming into this game off a 4-0 shutout loss against the Detroit Red Wings. James Reimer throwing the shutout up there for Detroit against Columbus the other night. So that was definitely one of those games where disappointing for Columbus to not even score 1 goal there against a Red Wing D that I think is a little shaky. And then James Reimer, who, not exactly someone I think is going to shut the door on you night in and night out. And he was able to do that for the Detroit Red Wings against Columbus. So Columbus off a shutout loss certainly is going to be looking to get things back on track a little bit here at the offensive end of the ice. It looks like tonight there's some line juggling being done by Pascal Vincent, of course, first year with the Columbus Blue Jackets. Looks like Fantilli, Lyonnais, and Tessier on the top line here for this game tonight. Johnny Gaudreau will slide down to play with Boone Jenner and Kirill Marchenko. Tells you that Vincent already has a decent amount of faith and confidence here in Fantilli. Fantilli's got the assist in the first game of the season, but he's had 2 shots on goal each game since then. We'll see if the lineup changes shake them up for the better here offensively. And some really, really good news for Columbus. We were worried about that injury that Zach Werenski suffered against Philadelphia, first game of the season. And we thought maybe a long-term injury, but sure enough, he's only going to miss those 2 games against Detroit and the Rangers. He is back tonight for the Jackets. So that is definitely what you want to see going into this game. He is one of the more important blue liners on this team. With all due respect, Severson's a nice pickup. Branson gives you a little physicality, and Jake Bean from Carolina finally healthy, and Ivan Provorov from Philadelphia is a defenseman. They're looking to have a bounce back year, but Werenski's very important, especially driving the play, moving the puck out of the zone, quarterback in the power play, all that stuff. Having him on the ice is big. Merzlikins has been confirmed in net for the Columbus Blue Jackets. It was Vladar last night, so safe to assume it should be Jacob Markstrom here tonight for Calgary in net, although that hasn't been confirmed as of right now. This game's an interesting one here where, Calgary, 3 of their 4 games have gone. I probably will play the over small in this game, over 6.5, minus 125, minus 130 is what we're looking at with that right now. And I still think the Jackets are a team that the defense is still, I think, a work in progress, and we've seen it. The Jackets have given up 4, 3, and 4 goals and an average of 11 goals in their first 3 games so far this season they've given up. So that is definitely close to, in between 3.5 to 4 goals per game, that they've allowed. So I think Calgary can probably find the back of the net here. And again, we know the Flames last year had issues finishing, but it is nice to see that that Buffalo game they got to 4 and maybe a sign that they're going to start to push through a little bit on the offensive end of the ice. And I also think Columbus is going to have a bounce back offensive night here. I think Calgary D a little tired on a back-to-back potentially. Not to mention, look, Markstrom still got some proving to do. A guy that didn't have a great year last year. If you look at the way he started this season for Calgary, giving up, of course, the 3-2, they gave up the lead to Washington. He gave up the 5 goals against Pittsburgh, 3 goals against Winnipeg. He's still more than likely going to give up 3 goals in the majority of his starts. So the over 6.5 appeals to me. Nothing on the side. I do think situationally, off a shutout loss, the team with the extra rest, with a team off a win on a back-to-back, I think situationally it's a lean to Columbus for me at plus 125, but I ain't going to pull the trigger on that because I still think Calgary a little bit better team than Columbus. I will look at some props. First, Alex, we'll get your thoughts here. What do you think, Flames, Blue Jackets?
Yeah, I'm right there with you on this over 6.5. I played it this morning at $1.20, and I figured, okay, either it's Jacob Markstrom getting the start on the second of a back-to-back, or they run Vladar again. Either way, I feel confident. Like you said, Columbus off the shutout loss, and I think that's more of James Reimer, blind squirrel finding a nut kind of a deal than necessarily him just shutting down, Columbus. I think this offense needs to get things rolling, and I think Line and Gaudreau. Those are 2 guys I would be looking at for props. Gaudreau, 10 cents higher, and I would be talking about his name a little bit later in the program. But at plus 290, I will take a little small shot with him to get a goal tonight. But I think Calgary more than likely finds a way to win this game. Like I said, I'm just really impressed with how well they look. Just a complete transformation to what we saw from the majority of last year. I don't think we can really call them the Sternums anymore. Because they're finding the back of the net and the shot quality. And remember I said that about Sutter. I said, I wonder does he even work with the team on shooting angles? The shooting lanes and angles look much better with this Calgary team now, don't they? Than they did even at the end of last year when he just kind of said screw it and just let the offense, open up a little bit more. It's just a much better, much more improved team. So a slight lean, if anything, toward Calgary regulation. But I'm just going to stick with the over, and I'm going to take Gaudreau to score against his old team.
Yeah, Gaudreau against his old team is a good angle. Absolutely. This could be the night where you see him. I like goal and an assist prop, too, for Gaudreau, plus 120. Assist prop, probably worth a look. I do like Fantilli on the top line. I think tonight could be that night for goal number 1 for him. We've seen Carlson get on the board. Bedard has his first goal. I think it might be time for Fantilli, plus 370 at Caesars for him to get his first NHL goal. Why not? Plus 250 to get an assist. And Lion A as well. Lion A's been shooting the puck a ton. In fact, I like Lion A over 2.5 shots on goal, minus 143. He has been shooting the puck quite a bit. He's averaging over 5 shots on goal per game this season, Patrick Lion A. So you talk about someone that's cocking that stick back and letting her rip. He is doing that right now for Columbus. And
a really cool
goal prop, too, I think, maybe for him as well.
A really cool thing for Line A, too, for every goal that he scores, he'll be donating some money to men's mental health charities in that greater Columbus and Ohio area. So that's really, really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Really, really great idea. It's a great initiative. And hey, it's great to see his good play, and we consider that good play, shooting the puck like that, pay off in terms of meaningful initiatives for, the society like that, and a great cause, obviously, no question about that. And then you look at Calgary. I've talked about Coronado's now on the third line, so his spotlight, if you will, is dissipated just a little bit. That being said, he did get an assist last night. Not every book has the point prop for him, but if you can find a book that has it, plus 105 for him to get a point, or you could do the split, which I've started to do a lot more lately. The goal at plus 300, the assist at plus 225. And that's the same thing as betting a point prop. You can either bet a point prop or you can split it and bet the goal and the assist prop. It's basically the same thing, and that's what you're doing there with that. And I want to mention him too, one last prop, because he's got to be mentioned. He has been great since he's been moved up to this second line. Adam Ruzicka, man, he has scored in back-to-back games for the Calgary Flames. Adam Ruzicka, since going up to that second line, he has been really solid. 3 points as well for him in the last 2 games against Buffalo and Washington. It's one of these classic Ian Cameron player prop situations. You find someone that's been pushed up the lineup and you capitalize with his player props. And I've done that. The last 2, 650 was his goal prop in both of those games. This one, it's finally come down a bit. Plus 440 is the best you can get with Adam Ruzicka to score a goal tonight for Calgary. But it's worth a shot again. Like, he's playing well. He scored in consecutive games, playing on that second line for the Calgary Flames. So that is definitely a player prop that I've also got my eye on here tonight in this one. All right, second game of this Friday slate, New Jersey Devils, New York Islanders. Devils minus 115 road favorites, 6 the total here in this game. The New York Islanders, look, 2-0 start, winning the way the New York Islanders want to win games, obviously, and that's keeping things pretty tight, low scoring, let Ilya Sorokin handle the rest. They've gotten off to a great start in that regard. 3-2 and 1-0 victories for the Islanders against the Sabres and the Coyotes. I can't think of 2 scores that the New York Islanders would rather win a game by than 3-2 and 1-0. I mean, it's just your prototypical New York Islanders way to go about things and get the job done. No question about that. So I think the New York Islanders, look, defensively, they've shown so far this year they're pretty solid. And look, Buffalo's supposed to be a pretty good offensive team. Arizona, I think, has improved offensively this year. So I can't even say they've played horrendous competition offensively. I absolutely think this is a situation where the Islanders are playing solid right now at the defensive end of the ice. Now, the offense is still a work in progress. Brock Nelson often is the guy that's their best offensive player. Can we get Barzal to – he got the goal the other night, but he's got to bring more consistency. Bo Horvat's supposed to have a bounce-back year, but he's been quiet so far. No points in the first 2 games. It's still a very much – paint-by-numbers team at the offensive end of the ice, the New York Islanders. That is for sure. Now, on the flip side here, you've got the New Jersey Devils, who haven't played since Monday when they lost 4-3 against Florida, and a loss that did not sit well with Lindy Ruff. If you heard his comments after that game, wasn't happy one bit with that game against Florida. The bad start, the slow start, and look, they pushed hard in the third period to get back into that hockey game and make it interesting. But as he said, too many passengers in that contest, especially the best players, he said, weren't that great. 4-3, wasn't impressed with their effort defensively, which is also why you can probably say New Jersey's gone over in 2 straight games. So it's a really great conundrum here as far as the total goes, because you've got this under machine that is the New York Islanders, and now you got a New Jersey team coming in that's going to look to push pace, that's gone over, where their defense is still trying to get things settled. So it's a tough game to call as far as the total goes. But for me, it's not as tough as far as the side goes. You got what I still think is the better team, coming off a game that didn't sit well with them against Florida. They've had Monday to Friday to really stew on it, work at practice to get better, come out strong with a much better performance. And look, after 2 home games, maybe getting on the road's good for the New Jersey Devils, although it really ain't much of a road trip going from Jersey here to Long Island here against the Islanders. But I like New Jersey in this spot here, minus 115 we'll look at them in this price range. And again, now they're on the road. You get a better number. You get a better price. Devils, I think, have a better effort in them, and hopefully we will see that here tonight in this game. So New Jersey minus 115 for me. Nothing on the total. I do like a couple of props here. I'll mention those in a sec. Alex, what do you think here? Devils, Islanders.
Yeah, do these three teams, New York, Islanders, Rangers, and Devils, still take the train? I know they were doing that during the pandemic. Did they continue doing that? That would be a really cool thing because that's how all the teams traveled way back in the day. So I think that would be a fun tradition to keep going. But yeah, it should be an interesting battle. Like you said, New Jersey wants to play way more up tempo, and the Islanders, they're definitely what's that old meme of Frank Beamer when it's Virginia Tech and Wake Forest going in overtime tied 0-0. That's pretty much how the Islanders are. They're the hockey equivalent of Virginia Tech in that aspect. Low and slow, and they only want the goals being on their end, essentially. So here we are now with a spot where it's great for live betting. I love this first period over, and it's funny. I think that could actually lend to where we see a lot of pace early and then things slowing down. So what I'm looking for here is a live first period over. Now you can lay up 125 right now, but I think we can wait and get plus money because these are two teams that they're not going to jump off and score a goal in 30 seconds, more than likely. So we can wait a couple minutes, grab plus money, and if we cash that, then I would be looking at one of those big unders rather at around 7.5. I'd lay 130 or even 140 with an under 7.5 in game. If it's 1-1 and it's scoreless 5 minutes into the second period, and now we've already made some profit, and then we're securing a much better number that we would never be able to get with the Islanders an under 7 or 7.5. And in a pretty comfortable spot. So this is a great live game, and that's the way I'm going to approach it. But I also do lean with New Jersey. I'm seeing $1.10, and I'm more than likely will end up grabbing that and putting it on my card. I think, like I said, the better team, you got to back them. And the Isles, you wonder how long can they run with Sorokin just being a brick wall and not with the offense. Like, that's going to get stale sooner than later, right? So, it could be tonight. Where he has an off game. And, with these top tier goalies, I think we all learned last night from the other night with Shesterkin start that these top 5, top 10 goalies, they all can lay eggs, right? Yeah. We can't just rely on them just being, a stonewall every single night. And there's some teams that just have good offenses. I think New Jersey is one of those teams, and they'll be able to find a way to solve Sorokin. So Devils minus $1.10, I'll have that as well. But looking for a bit of a live strategy with the over and the totals.
Yeah, no doubt. Definitely. And New Jersey, we'll see if they can bounce back 1-2. It's not like they've had a brutal start. They had the loss to Arizona to begin the season, of course, against the Coyotes. They beat Detroit, actually, their first game 4-3. They lost in a shootout to Zona 4-3. I mean, all their games have been 4-3, one-goal games. So, yeah, I just like the situation that they're off Monday to Friday. Lindy Ruff's kind of read them the riot act. I might actually split this up too. I like New Jersey full game money line, but maybe that first period, might be worth a look too, because you would think that the start is going to be emphasized by Lindy and the Devils after the Florida game, because they had a brutal start. The first period was a train wreck for New Jersey against Florida on Monday. So that first period, I'd probably split between the first period and the full game. First period money line is minus 106 right now at Pinnacle. So probably will end up doing that. As far as props go in this game, I wouldn't load up on props because I actually think this could be a little bit cagier of a game. I hope Alex cashes his first period over, but I do think this game, full game, could stay under. That being said, the last two games last year between these two teams did go over, but I think New Jersey's going to try to emphasize playing better in their own end. And we know the Islanders, that's always their main focus. But you look at the props here, Dougie Hamilton over shots on goal is probably a good look. He's shooting the puck quite a bit. The point prop minus 115, minus 110. He's been chipping in, points from the blue line. Here's one to maybe consider for the Devils. Luke Hughes, the brother of Jack Hughes. He is going to be on the top power play unit tonight for the New Jersey Devils. They're going to see what he can do there from that spot. Goal plus 825. Power play point plus 405. So you get some really good value there. Someone that's going to be quarterbacking the PP1 for the New Jersey Devils tonight, I believe for the first time as well. So Luke Hughes, a guy that they have a lot of high hopes for on that blue line. Definitely something to keep in mind. The Islanders, look, it would probably be Nelson and Barzal. Nelson and Barzal. Barzal at least finally got on the scoreboard against Buffalo. Or against Arizona, I should say, the other night. Brock Nelson's always pretty consistent, plus 226 on Nelson to score. Like Nelson's been always someone that seems to be the one guy we can count on for any sort of offense on this team. I can't count on Bo Horvat until I see something, because it's been a very tepid start for him, for the Islanders through these first couple of games. But Barzal did get on the scoreboard last game for the Islanders. He's got to be big for them. Like if they're going to be any sort of, we don't expect the Islanders to be a phenomenal offensive team and a high scoring team, but if they're going to at the very least be middle of the pack, league average offensive team, Matthew Barzal's got to have a good season. He does. He's got to be a catalyst for them. He's got to make an impact. So it was nice to see him score against Arizona the other night. And he is someone that's going to have that kind of season for the New York Islanders if they're going to be at least a decent offensive team and, of course, make the playoffs as well.
One more note too, and you mentioned about, like I said, this is fairly two tight teams, but keep in mind in the last 7 meetings, 3-3-1 for totals, but 4-2 to the first period over in the last 6. So we've seen that theory. That's why I'm using that live wager theory. We've seen the early starts, but in a few of those games, that offense kind of taper off a little bit later.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll end up seeing. Meyer's been quiet. Meyer's, a lot of people like Meyer, but I want to see. And look, the one thing that might get me to back Meyer here is because I think Meyer got a little criticism too after the last game from his coach. So maybe that's the little kick in the pants that he got benched. It's not criticism. He was actually benched in the third period of that game against Florida. Stapled to the bench, Timo Meyer, which means that tells you how disappointed Lindy Ruff was with not only the team, but Timo in particular. So we do still think of him as a great player. He hasn't had a great start. It's like he signed the big deal with New Jersey, and now he's kind of sloughed off a little bit here in the early going. But that was maybe a little, bringing him back down to earth a little bit from putting him on the bench there for much of that third period. So because of that, the motivational factor, Meyer plus 230 to get a goal, plus 265 to get an assist. I mean, certainly you would think there's a response coming from Meyer. And yeah, it took bad penalties, pearl of wisdom. Yep. That's what did it. Those bad penalties where you're hooking and you're holding and you're not using your feet. You're not, skating to get body position. You're not working through your checks. You're not winning those one-on-one battles. And when you do that, you're going to take penalties. And he did that in the game against Florida Monday night. So you would expect a response from a player of his caliber. So for that reason, I understand the looks for Meyer props tonight that you would think, benched in the end of that Florida game. You got to come back tonight and show what kind of player you really are, because we know you're a good player. We saw it in San Jose all those years, and we'll see if Timo Meyer gets his game back on track here tonight. Certainly should be motivated to do so. All right, great stuff. Thanks to everyone in the chat. As always, 200 live viewers. Hit the like button. We appreciate it. Make sure you sign up. $9.99 a month US for the Ice Guys Family Plan YouTube channel membership. We've got tons of stuff there, the daily betting card, all the player props posted for members on the community tab for the Ice Guys YouTube channel as a family plan member. We're going to have videos and content and bonus shows and betcasts throughout the season, but we're also going to, of course, our Monday show where we're going to do Q&A. The questions will be from people that are subscribed as a family plan member. That's where we'll be taking the questions from. So make sure you get on board the Ice Guys Family Plan. Again, we got so much great stuff planned there this season. Check it out.
Yeah, definitely. This is the weekend to sign up for the family plan if you have not done so already. Like I said, this evening when I put up the live plays that will be in the community tab, I will also have the prompts for the question and answer segment, where if you're a family plan member, you can leave your questions there. And like I said, we will answer those on Monday's show, but also for Tuesday evening, for that big betcast, if you want to get on, those family plan members will get priority in line to be on the live betcast. So it's imperative. Definitely sign up. $9.99 a month. I mean, the live plays alone have pretty much kind of paid over for this thing a few times if you've already signed up early. So we want to continue bringing you more winners, more content, more of everything you guys want from us. So definitely sign up today.
Absolutely. All right. Hey, it was a dry night for our bargain bin special of the night last night. 3 bargain bin special of the night recommendations, because we had our guest Jordan Henry with us. Although shout out to Jordan Henry for that Calgary Buffalo. His best bet was first period over, and he actually also recommended both teams to score in the first period as well. Did a great job. So great debut for Jordan on the show. But we all swung and missed with the bargain bin special of the night play. But then again, we're still up a nice, comfortable, 30, 31 units, even after last night with the 3 losses. So a terrific, terrific start with these. My bargain bin special, it's coming from the Calgary-Columbus game, and I was torn between Adam Fantilli at +3. It's a great price, +370 at Caesars to get his first NHL goal tonight. He's on the top line. I was tempted to go with that, but I'm going to bet that. I want to make that clear. I am going to bet that Adam Fantilli +370. But that is not going to be my bargain bin special of the night pick because I want to go with the proven commodity. I want to go with someone that has gotten it done the last couple games. And we're going to go to the Calgary side. And we're going to go to Adam Ruzicka, +440 at Caesars. Goals in back-to-back games. He's found a comfort zone playing on the second line for the Calgary Flames. He's also now on the top power play unit. And I love that Ryan Huska is doing this. He has given this guy opportunity because he's earned it. He's given him the ice time because he's earned it. He's on the second line because he's earned it. He's on the number 1 power play unit. Why? Because he's earned it. And that is the kind of quality coaching you like to see. You give players that are showing you something really good the opportunity. And Huska's doing that, and Adam Ruzicka is taking advantage of that opportunity, playing with Kadri and Dylan Dubé on that second line. So that is, to me, the clear choice for the bargain bin special of the night. I have cashed with Ruzicka each of the last 2 nights. A little bit better price in those games than tonight, but we're riding the hot hand. He's on the second line, the number 1 power play unit. He's scored in back-to-back games for Calgary. Adam Ruzicka, +440 for my bargain bin special of the night. Alex, what do you got?
I'm gonna pass on tonight. I'm gonna tail your play and load up for tomorrow. But that's a good look, and I like that. And I love that identifying that he's on the power play as well. I was trying to see if there's anybody who had power play points available for him. Couldn't find that, but definitely be telling you on his goal tonight for sure.
All right, there we go. And yeah, we almost had one with Matthew Nyes last night. He had a great opportunity and just couldn't capitalize there. Absolutely tough. He's snake bit a little bit right now. Nick Earl Sports Bets. I knew it would be an Islander if he threw a bargain bin play in the chat, and he did with Ryan Pulock there. Anytime goal scorer there, +800. So Ryan Pulock there for the Islanders, +800 is a good price. I will say that if it cashes, that's you'll feel that in your bankroll. That's for sure. All right, best bets to wrap it up for this Friday edition of the Ice Guys show. Alex, we'll start with you. What do you like for best bet?
Somebody asked about college football. I said take the over with UNLV on tomorrow. But let's go with hockey. This is a hockey show, and we're going to go with the over in Calgary and Columbus, over 6.5 minus $1.20. Flames finally playing with some energy and some spark and some offensive creativity, things they needed and things they were not going to get with Sutter coaching that team. And now they're playing against a Columbus team. We know they have offensive talent. They need to get things rolling a bit. Got stonewalled by James Reimer in that last game. I'm sure they're going to be fired up and frenzied. So let's go over the total with the Flames and Blue Jackets. It's my Friday best bet.
All right, there you go. Calgary, Columbus, over 6.5 minus 125. Best bet for Alex B. Smith. My best bet, it was going to either be that or the New Jersey game. I'll give you the New Jersey game. They're pretty much equal strength for me. And I actually am splitting this one up between the first period and the full game, but I'll go full game with it. New Jersey Devils, minus 110 at BetMGM. Best price out there right now. Great spot. You got an angry team, frustrated team coming to play here tonight, probably after a bad game against Florida. And I still think they're better than the Islanders. They'll have a chance to prove it tonight. Devils minus 110 against the Islanders for my best bet for this Friday NHL card. And that'll wrap up this edition of the Ice Guys. Thanks to everyone in the chat for joining us. Hit the like button on the way out. And a reminder, we got a huge show tomorrow. It'll be 2 hours guaranteed, noon Eastern, the Saturday edition of the Ice Guys. Make sure you join us for that. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday, 3 p.m. Eastern, Tuesday this week, noon Eastern, but normally 2 p.m. Eastern. And then, of course, Wednesday to Friday next week will be 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. And if you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms: Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Friday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we will talk to you again tomorrow on Saturday for a loaded Saturday NHL slate on the Saturday edition of the Ice Guys. See you tomorrow.